Sorry. Guards, are you on your road here today?
Sorry?
Are you on your road here today?
We only have, it says that, shut up.
Yeah, but are you on your road here today?
Garda Oath.
Are you on your Garda Oath here today?
I've no comment to make to them.
Okay, well, it's on YouTube anyway, so the Gardaí aren't even on the road.
Do you know your oath?
Go on, have a look. Yeah, have a look.
Have you identification? No, I don't have identification.
Well, it's the morning after the night before. It's now Sunday afternoon. Done a bit of editing on that man you've seen in the introduction, Ben Gilroy in Dublin, who put an end to a lot of evictions that were not lawful, and he's still working hard at it. If only the majority of people would join him, there wouldn't be any evictions. Anyway, we're just getting a bit of news from Dominic as well in the UK, what's happening in relation to the unlocking of the lockdowns, if you like, and Dublin's same, a free country. And if just hang on to the end, I've got some very interesting stuff from Sky News, The Outsiders, Ray and Dean and them, that you really must see. It explains a lot of the BS that's going on now and what's really, really going on. So watch that. And at the end of that, there's a story from Outsiders again about a solicitor who's come from a dictatorship, moved to Australia over 20 odd years ago. He's a solicitor, as I said. He's now left and gone to live in Florida because Sydney has become a dictatorship. And he mentions about the Constitution that it's ineffective because it hasn't got the Bill of Rights. Have a look at the end of this, and please subscribe, guys, if you can. It's not all that important, but subscribe. But do help us out in the common law court. We've got the badges done for the sheriff. I'll just put it up. The deputy sheriff badges are done. They're extremely well made, and we didn't get them from the States. We got them made through an Australian company here in Melbourne. Well, put a few dollars in and we'll get a few more things done. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. London News sign off. All the details will be up about our website in the beginning and at the end. Bye for now. Dr. Barry, London News, Melbourne, on a Saturday night here in Melbourne, and we're heading across to Ireland and across to Worcestershire in England. And of course, Ben is down from Dublin in a place called Navan, and he's going to tell us what he's doing over there in relation to all this wonderful freedom they have in relation to our prison camp. Over to you there in Navan, Ben.
Yeah, well, as you're probably aware, Barry, we arranged a number of very large protests in Dublin. The government have taken a number of steps backwards, and we are getting more and more of our rights being returned. Towards the end of this month, they've promised that most of the restrictions will now be lifted. So there's very little lockdown here in Ireland. You wouldn't really notice it. All the shops are open. You can basically go anywhere you want. They still sort of insist on masks in some of the shops. I don't wear them wherever I go, but very few people actually bother you now for not wearing a mask, where at the start of this nonsense, they were like mask Nazis. So luckily enough, a lot of things are just heading back to normal here.
Yes, good. Hey, Dominic, you haven't wore a mask, and you took big trips around London and back to Birmingham, and you've had no problems. What's the story there now?
Well, it's a bit similar to what Ben's just said. You know, there's no one well, there is people still wearing the mask. Those that are, don't know the truth. But yeah, I mean, you go to the supermarket, you can go to the pub, you go to the bar. You can just generally go about as a free person. A
person? Did you hear that, Ben?
Oh,
he said person. Oh, may God forgive you, Dominic. He said person.
As a living man.
We'll forgive him. He's not in court. We'll forgive him.
Well, he hasn't even got his studio set up or anything tonight, and he's sitting somewhere else away from the microphone. I'm worried about you now, Dominic.
Well, it's not tonight here. It's midday, right?
Oh, midday. That's right. It's 12:10. It's me.
And let's just say that the government, well, the corporation that calls himself a government, seems to be dropping hints that there could be another lockdown. I've heard this from Bojo. I think it was about 20 odd hours ago, he put up a little announcement about everyone needs to go and get the jabby woo woo. Otherwise, we could have a lockdown. I think this is brewing myself. I don't know. I think that's
Have you heard any rumours about that in Dublin, Ben?
I've been watching a lot of the BBC from the UK, and they're concerned by the number of cases that they have. They really are pushing for a third and fourth jab. Now, when this thing started, it started at, like a normal vaccine, you were supposed to get one shot and that was it. Then it very quickly went to 2 shots, then 3 shots, now 4 shots. That says to me that they need to call a halt to their vaccination program, because it looks like they don't know what they're doing. It's not doing what it was supposed to do. And if you buy something that doesn't do what it's supposed to do, you normally give it back and look for your money back. Unfortunately, when something is injected into you, it's slightly more difficult to say, hey, can you take that back out? It's not doing what it's supposed to do. Well, I'm very concerned by the number of private messages I'm getting in relation to deaths of young people now. And this is only happening since they start vaccinating the young. Young people did not die from COVID last year. We were told there was no risk to young people. That's why the schools remained open. They weren't in carriers, they weren't in transmitters. And even if they got it, they probably never knew about it, because they came under that bracket, which was bullshit, of asymptomatic. Asymptomatic is the new word for I'm feeling just tiggity-boo.
I love all the words they use. They're like directions, a pronoun, chief health officer, 3 adjectives in a row, which really is like the color of law or an illusion. And then we have the cases, and another adjective as well, which could mean suitcase, briefcase. I mean, you could spend 3 days in court describing the contents of a suitcase or a case they're talking about, which means they're all playing games. But sadly, here in Melbourne and Sydney is the worst. And of course, Tasmania has never been locked down. I don't know why there's ferries gone over and back. I'm sure the bacteria could have skipped a lip on, or what do you call it, popped on board and as a passenger, what do you call it? Anyway, gone over there. But it's just the politics. We have politicians having a game here between the states. And of course, there are no states anymore. They're all private corporations. And the federal government is a big corporation which got no say over the states. And we talk about federal law. Well, that's been suspended. In fact, law everywhere is suspended. So once Ireland needs to get out of the EU, and I think that will ever happen, Ben?
Probably not. Too ingrained, too many handouts from the EU, so probably will never happen. A lot of the Irish people are dumbed down, and they just think the EU is a second type of God. They feel they're protected within the EU. So, and certainly all the politicians that are in power are very much pro-EU. So unless there's an anti-EU party and a civil rights party formed in Ireland over the next few years, I can't see any sort of changes there. What we got to remember is, look, this is one corporation plan to vaccinate. Whether you buy into why they need people vaccinated or not is sort of irrelevant, in the sense that, first of all, you got to understand this is a corporate plan to get everybody vaccinated. And there's no profit in vaccinating people just once. The profit is if you continually vaccinate, whether that's keeping people sick, releasing more viruses, coming up with new variants. The natural flu will have a new variant every year anyway. I think the last one that was called in Ireland here was the MU, the MU. I think they had that in the UK too. It's MU pronounced moo because it sounds like bullshit.
I remember when just before Dominic was born, I was working in a hospital in England, a very bad flu. And I mean, really, the flu is quite dangerous. And the mortuary in our hospital was full. The district mortuary, which was massively big, had corpses without shrouds. They ran out of shrouds. There was 3 on it, on trolleys, and in the middle of the trolley and underneath. And nobody panicked. We all just said, well, I didn't get it, and we all got better and forgotten about it. But it's sad that
that's what a lot of people don't know, Barry. You know, a lot of people get what we call the man flu, which is a bad head cold. and the women don't know the severity of that. That's the first thing I should say. But the real flu knocks healthy people, big healthy people, it knocks them on their back, and make no mistake about it. So if you've underlying conditions or you're of a delicate age or whatever, it will take huge numbers with it, a bad dose of the flu. In some years, we obviously have much more severe types of flu than other years. I think the elite system probably picked the wrong year, because the flu actually wasn't that bad this year, and there wasn't the deaths to show any sort of spike. So I suppose that plan backfired a little bit. When you talked about cases in the hospitals here in Ireland, the government have come out and admitted that if you were in hospital suffering from a heart attack and going for heart procedure, or you were in for cancer or any serious thing, and you were tested for COVID, if you died because of the heart complications or whatever, it was put down as a COVID death. Now, the government have admitted that. That's not conspiracy stuff. They have admitted that. Secondly, you might say, well, what's the chance of many cases like that? Well, nearly everybody that dies in hospital is in there not because of COVID, because some serious other illness. And the problem with it is when you test them for COVID and you use an overcycled PCR test, and, these cycles are run to the power of 10. So, when you say they should be run no more than 35 cycles, but they're running up to 45 cycles, that doesn't sound too much over the mark. But actually, if you talk about amplifications, the recommended is not to go over 1 billion amplifications. And what they do in Ireland and in the UK is they do up to 35 trillion amplifications. And what that really means is that if you had a flu when you were 5 years of age and your immune system, took care of it, but there was some little immune bug left in your system from back then, this thing is going to find it.
Yeah, it's the same. So Dominic, what's happening? So you guys are back, you're back, you're working, no problems over there? Everything is pretty good as far as working?
Yeah, I'm back at work. I think that everything's back to normal, more or less. Lots of traffic on the roads, it's the same old traffic jams, rush hour. Yeah, it all looks normal, apart from the odd, well, I say the odd one or two. There's quite a lot still that putting the masks on. And what really gets me mad is seeing people on their own in a car with a mask on, or on a bike in the middle of nowhere with a mask on. I mean, what the hell's all that about?
Yeah, get them. We had them here. They're still here riding bicycles with, it's, I don't know. It's this brainwashing started a long time ago, and back in after the war in Yatla, when the powers got together and the League of Nations, and of course it's gone from there. But when the peasants wake up and realize they've been taken for a ride, they'll be up there with their pitchforks, mate. So what do you reckon, Ben? Where are we going to go anyway? What's the future? We're using common law here.
I think the future lies in education and showing people how to sue the shit out of anybody that trespasses on their rights, interferes with their rights, diminish their rights. Unlike the UK, we have a written constitution, so it's probably slightly easier where. Sorry about that. So it's much easier for us in Ireland, because if you never learn anything about the Irish Constitution, for Irish people that may be watching, all you need to remember is Article 41.111 of the Irish Constitution. And what that basically says is that the family is higher and more superior than any positive law. And as we know, positive law is all statutory instruments and man-made law. So whenever the government come out with, you're not allowed past 5 kilometers, you're not allowed to do this, you're not allowed to do that, that all has to manifest itself as positive law, and the family is superior to all of that. So, it's then if anybody tries to diminish the rights of the family, people need to sue them real quick in a high court in their personal capacity. And once you get a guy, a cop or a security man or whatever it might be, and you're suing him in his personal capacity and get liens on his house and that, word will go around very quickly, that we need to start behaving ourselves.
Yeah. Well, that's why we've set up the common law. Dominic's involved in common law in England, and we've set it up here in Melbourne. We've had a couple of cases. Our website's up and running, and we've got a. Oh, I sent you that book on common law on the universal language. Did you get it, Ben?
No.
You slack. It's in your email. I'll have to send it to you again.
All right. Okay.
Anyway, yeah, that's the way we're fighting back here, one at a time. So we've got a venue. It's just because of all these lockdowns, is running a court. It's pretty hard to get venues and stuff. And we'll try and do it. Look, it's all going to end soon anyway. We'll carry on from there.
Yeah, I think there was so many people at the start of this. It was probably the same in the UK, that people were falling out with each other because they wouldn't even wear a mask and they wouldn't let you in a shop. But I think a lot of people now are starting to think, hold on a second here, is this going to continue for the rest of my life? Because, I gave up my life for a year and a half. I sat at home. I didn't go out. The government told me not to go out. I shopped online. And now they're kind of seeing there's no end to this. That's the real message from government, where they're saying, oh, there's another variant, more jabs, and people just aren't buying into it now in the droves that they did at the start. And once more and more people start waking up, you hit a critical number then where it becomes embarrassing to be on the side that thinks this is all real and we have to keep getting vaccinated every year. There's been flus around since God was a gossin, as they say here. And that will continue to be the case. And if you think that government can save you from the flu, then I'm going to sell you some seaside view, ocean view property in Offaly. That's a Midland county, by the way, in case someone doesn't get the gag.
Down by the seaside in Offaly, yeah. Yeah, look, we had this. There was a lot of demonstrations here today, and sadly, the police. If the police just stayed at home, watched this on TV, these people would come out, sing and dance through the streets, and then go home. And trying to stop them, all they're doing is making people angry. And sadly, that anger will come to the stage where it'll become violent, and then nobody wins. Everybody, it will just become a bunch of losers.
The people are coming out anyway, and people are entitled to protest. And if anybody fears getting an infection or getting the virus from these people, well, surely you just stay at home and be afraid, be very afraid. Sit there, even if you're afraid of the virus, put a plastic bag over your head even, take extreme measures and just have a little oxygen tube going into the bag. Don't forget the oxygen bit, by the way. but like, why, like if there's 100,000 people in Dublin today protesting about masks and everything, and I'm concerned I might get a virus, well, then just stay away. What does it matter?
I mean, you're never going to die till the day you're supposed to die. And many people have tried to commit suicide. And I know this for a fact, being an ex-copper. I've been to a lot of people who tried to commit suicide. The rope broke. And the funniest one ever was a guy, I won't mention the town because this is a true story. He tried to hang himself. The rope broke. He tried to gas himself in the car and he ran out of fuel. I mean, this may sound crazy. He went to the vets and he held the vet up with a knife and got the injection. As soon as he put it in the back of his hand, of course, he got a little taste of it and he collapsed and got arrested and survived. So you can't die until the day you're meant to die. Dominic,
right.
Go ahead, Dominic.
Yeah, I knew a chap. He went to the library looking on a book on suicide, and they said, "Yeah, they're down the back on the left-hand shelf." And he went down there, and they said, "Well, there's no books there." And he says, "That's the only problem. They never bring them back."
That's a good one. I like that. That's a bloody good one. That's why. That's definitely not why. But well, okay, Ben. Listen, you've got to head out someplace. We'll let you go. And are you still doing any?
No problem.
Yeah. Are you still? Ben is famous for anti-eviction, and he had one of the best videos about the sheriffs.
Oh,
so, are you still doing any more evictions up in Dublin, or is that finished? Or are you still doing them?
Yeah, I have a rumor that some security crowd are going to come down and try remove machinery off a field, alleging that this vulture fund sold a farmer's field without consent, without it ever going to court, which is not allowed in the Irish Constitution. And So they're coming down to try and remove machinery on Monday morning. So I'll be there, and I hope to gather a few boys. I'm sure we'll be there with a camera, and hopefully we'll have a video for you, Barry, maybe on Tuesday.
Okay, I promise to share that, Ben, and a little bit of the sheriff one that you had, that famous talk with the sheriff of Nottingham.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
Ben.
I'll talk to you all soon. Good to meet you, Tom. Bye.
Nice to meet you.
Okay,
Cheers, mate.
we'll see you, Ben. We'll carry on yakking because we